right, let's get into this, man. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. Did you guys hear about Tuskegee implementing the dress code? No bonnets, no flip-flops, no pajamas. And so obviously I heard it first on the Breakfast Club. As you know, I got a few clips, but I said I kind of know enough about it. Breakfast Club, you know, they are syndicated, so you play any of their stuff, they come get your whole stream. you know? And they were saying that there's some mixed responses to it. The obvious is, hey, I pay to go here. I got class at 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning. You know, why can't I dress this way? The obvious retort is this is a private institution and you know the code of conduct before you arrive. You know, people are sophomores. They may have a different opinion on that, right? Because it changed while they enrolled. Well, what's you guys' thoughts about that? If you know anything about like Hampton University, you can't do that. That's always been a thing. You have to dress up on Thursdays. Elizabeth City State, if you were in a business school, you had to wear a suit and tie or at least a coat on Thursdays. You know, so I'm slightly accustomed to it. What's you guys' take on it? Coach D, what you think?
So I'm a college professor at a junior college out in California, and I coach, and I've been there. It's my 25th year there. So I understand the idea of, you know, if you dress to impress, you know, look good, feel good, carry yourself in a certain way, things like that. I, on the other hand, don't like some of the rhetoric around it because I feel like it's kind of capitulating to this idea that like black folks need to change. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't really like that, but I've had to implement different rules on my team, my student athletes, my students that they didn't like. So I get, I kind of understand that, but then at the same way, people say like, we went to New York recently, right? And we're kind of having this conversation about how people dress in the airport and everything. And I've seen some stuff about, oh, people need to dress up for the airport. And it's like, bro, you want me to get dressed up when you guys are, the seats are closer now. I don't have as much room. I'm gonna be sitting here uncomfortable in a suit. You know what I'm saying? And then you got all these delays and everything. Like, I just want to be comfortable. And I don't believe that you can, like you have to be trained to dress a certain way for a job. Like, you can go through college dressed like, like you're going to bed all day, and then when you get a job and they tell you you need to wear a suit every day, you can do that. Like, that's not a huge step for you to be able to make that leap. So I guess I'm kind of gray on it.
Okay. Do you think respect levels change still? Because, that's one of those old school sentiments. Like when you dressed in a particular way, people look at you and treat you differently. You think that's still true in the earth today?
Absolutely. I think that's true, but
Mm-hmm.
I think I like, why are we policing what people think about us? Like, that's their problem. Like, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, you should be treating me fine no matter how I'm dressed, right? Until I give you a reason to treat me bad, I don't think you should be treating me any type of way. So, and I also think that they think that, people will act better if they're dressed a certain way. I'd rather just see you act right, regardless of
Okay.
how you dress. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how I feel about it.
So, Coach D, damn, what you just offered is interesting to me now, right? So, I've been DJing since 2006, right? From clubs, weddings, funerals, whatever, right? And they implemented hard bottoms, in the early 2000s to about 2012, 14, 16. It's lax since now, like people just aren't the same, But in the height of 50 Cent, they they had the outlaw Tims in the club because somebody will fit the deuce on the side. And then you had to wear hard bottoms and you had to have a button down. And we saw a decrease in fights and things of that nature. You know what I mean? So I just was thinking about that and I wonder, does it actually change behavior, substantively, Um,
I think you might be right. And I'll just say this because I know this. When I take my team on an away trip, and we're gonna stay in hotels, I always make them wear our school colors and school, something with the school name on it. And I let them know, like, hey, you guys know now you represent the school. Everything that you do, everybody's going to be able to look at that name on your shirt and know exactly who you are. And that does
Hmm.
decrease the issues that we have with them and everything. So
Hmm.
again, that's why I'm gray on it. I don't like when things seem to have a racial undertone to them, and
Hmm.
sometimes some of these things are implemented for those reasons, and that's when I'm like,
Okay.
we need to push back against that.
I see. And it's like in real time, you like processing it, like as we having the
Yeah.
conversation, because the
Hmm.
value is there, and you like, but they trying to say, what are they also trying to say, right? There's always that.
Word.
Okay, okay, word, 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 word. August, what you think, bro?
I think that it's important to have a level of decorum. I think that that's been lost in our community. I think that if the boot fits, we should fucking wear it. You know what I mean? Like that's the reality of it. I think that
What boot
if you
specifically?
the bonnets and the onesies in the store and all that other, not having that level of decorum and having that attire that reflects, your mental state. I think that it's important. I think that we need to definitely get back to that. I think that if you start to see us take our attire and appearance more seriously, you might start to see that permeate as far as the psychological perspective that we have about ourselves in the community. I think that it'll lift that up. I think that there's no harm in forcing, especially black people, specifically to adhere to a dress code. I think that what they're doing and they're implementing, I think that's a positive thing for the people, and it's a step back to structure.
Okay, so you are alluding to Coach D's concern. I'll just kind of characterize it like that. Like, hey, so you're saying that not only is it a concern, it's accurate.
Yes, very accurate.
Okay, and
Yeah.
what is this accuracy? Just say it plain so we understand what you're saying
Um,
is true about Black people mostly.
our culture, we the bonnet one. You got dudes wearing bonnets now. Um, we wearing bonnets in the store. We coming out the store, in our underwear and long shirts. I just saw a lady, I just had to go get some water from the stove today, and I saw that. We're not really taking out, we have lost um, the gumption to present our best out in public. So yeah, I see it. I think that if you feel a racial undertone, that's because we deserve it.
Hmm. Coach D, I don't know if you want to respond. If not, we can keep rotating because that's kind of
Yeah,
what you were
I
citing.
have to dis
Go ahead.
I have to
Go ahead.
disagree because as someone who is highly educated, been in the education system for years, I feel like you just, I mean, no matter what you think of like the black community or whatever, just going and saying like everyone needs to be this certain way because we deserve it. I think you're now stereotyping. Like to me, that would be almost like saying like, yeah, that cop was right for, harassing black people because he's being told that black people, are more likely to commit this or that or whatever. And like I'm watching videos all the time of black people just trying to mind their own business and walk through neighborhoods, and they're getting cops called on them, and then people in the comments are like, if you ain't did nothing wrong, then just give them your ID and this and that. Like how long do we have to endure that? Like why do I, as a black man who is, again, like I said, like, and this is the problem I have, like no matter how educated I am, no matter how much of a family man I am, no matter how much money I make, what car I drive, I have to be that stereotype has to be put on me as well. Now you got the cops being called on people. If a cop gets called on me walking through the street, right, and I got a cell phone, this actually happened. Let me tell you a story that actually happened to me. I
Mm-hmm.
go jogging with my team, my cross country team. They're on a 10-mile jog. I'm on like a 2-mile jog. So at about a mile, I turn around and start coming back. My college is in a very like high class neighborhood, right? So I'm jogging through that neighborhood. I got my phone in my hand. I'm jogging. I see a cop pull up. He's like this way to me, right? Then another cop pulls up. He's like perpendicular to me. I'm literally thinking like, oh snap, it's going down in this neighborhood. Like looking around, like who they going after? Yeah, bro, they were going after me. I have a former athlete who is on the police force in that town. I called him and he was like, because the cops, they look at me for a while. They notice I got a phone and I'm actually just on a jog. He tells me, oh yeah, someone called and said somebody, a black dude was looking in windows. Bro, I'm just jogging by. So let's say those cops jump out of that car and just shoot me because they think that cell phone is a gun. I have to go through that because there's another black dude that might have committed a crime at some time. Like I personally think saying like we deserve that, man. I'm not with that.
Mm, damn. So the profiling aspect affects us all, even when we should not be implicated, nor do we exude the behavior. In August, you saying that all we all deserve the jacket. We deserve to be profiled based on how the minority or majority of us conduct themselves. Just so I'm clear.
I think it's the majority of it. I think it's part of the culture. And I'm not talking about no cops. I'm talking about attire. You know what I mean? How you present in public. That cop shit, that's a different separate argument.
Okay, okay, but you're saying that we have to fight the narratives by going above and beyond, right?
We have to fight the narrative by correcting ourselves.
Indeed. So
So
like saying like don't wear this, don't wear that, don't act as such because we're seen in a particular way, right?
Well, I think the attire or the dress code isn't above and beyond. I think that that's just the status quo, and we've fallen so far below the status quo that everything is permissible. And then if someone tries to correct it or say anything negative about our actions, anything we're doing, we immediately jump to racism.
Okay. But just so is it? Do we need to change the narrative by maintaining the status quo of like proper conduct, proper etiquette, proper attire?
As far as yeah, we need to get back to that
Okay.
narrative. We used to operate in that fashion, proper attire, proper conduct.
Do you
That was
think
our
we're
thing back in the
seen
day.
in a particular way? Like, is that why, or do you think?
No, I think that it's just due. I think that that's how we operate. I see women, black women, my people in the store in a damn onesie and bonnets. I see little dudes wearing bonnets in the store. I see it. These are things I'm visually seeing in my own eye in my community. I see it,
I got you.
Are they
So
and I'm
paying
not
for
gonna.
this? I'm sorry, but are they paying for their groceries?
Sure, yeah, sure. They're paying for their
Okay.
groceries. Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So they're just going to the store, paying for their groceries, going home.
Right. Yeah. In
And
the
you feel
bonnet.
like they have to dress a certain way. They shouldn't wear bonnet. Like so they maybe just wash their hair. Like I don't know what reason someone's wearing a bonnet or whatever, but they may have, like what if they just came from a jog and they're like, I don't want to go home and shower first. I'm all sweaty and everything. I'm gonna go to a grocery store. They shouldn't be able to do that.
What you're speaking to is to an exception to the rule, but you have to understand that the standard of what the rule is that most women and most people are in the store. A lot of us are in the store wearing bonnets regularly that didn't just came from a job. That didn't just came. They this is the attire that they're
My,
wearing, and it's
okay.
almost like a race to the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Instead of us holding ourselves to a higher standard and setting the status quo to be a higher standard, we're making excuses for why they should be able to do that because they paying for it.
I'm like I said, I'm gray on the school asking for it because I feel like that's an institution. If they want to implement rules, they can. I'm also
You
okay with any
lukewarm.
any. Yeah, I'm lukewarm on that, but I'm also okay with any job asking someone to wear whatever. But I mean, I follow a page called White Crimes or something like that, and white people are walking around with this stuff on too. Like, I mean, so I don't know if it's. I don't think we should be trying to legislate or ask people to do anything that they don't want to do. I feel like, I mean,
Legislation.
outside of like, I don't want to like. I would agree, like, we shouldn't be looking at people's underwear and stuff like that. But like, if it's just clothes and it's just not how you like to see it or whatever, I think that's a you problem and not really a them problem. As long as, because I don't think dress code is what is causing how people are acting. I feel like that's just how people are acting. Like you can put anything on me, I'm still gonna be Coach D, who has accomplished the things that I've accomplished and stuff like that. And I know there's been times where I just want to wear my slippers and my pajama pants to go to the store real quick.
Or
Yeah.
Sorry,
Uh,
I don't want to take up all the time and
no, no,
stuff. My bad.
it's good. It's a good back and forth and just understanding and clarification. Cheek, what you think?
Yeah. So from the topic of whether or not the school aspect, again, I think that the students should be able to wear whatever they want to wear. There's no correlation to higher test scores, test studies, or anything that you can prove. There's no scientific evidence for it. There's no real basis for it besides you just want them to look a certain way. But I feel as if the student is if the student is getting good grades or they're not, right? Your attire does not affect who you are as a student. It doesn't have any real impact. If anything, there's a level of comfortability that I prefer a student have, especially in college, because that's where you're supposed to have the autonomy and freedom as a individual student to make decisions. So if they want to wear whatever they want to wear, so be it. The issue that I have is I think this ties in a little bit to respectability politics, which I just do not respect at all. I think that when you look back at the '60s, whatever the case may be, they were getting bit in the ass, in a two-piece suit. They was looking clean as hell, professional as hell, getting beat up. So this idea that there's a culture issue with black community, and it's the problem that I have whenever we have these conversations. We start extrapolating maybe who we see from the Walmart store from 2 to 3 people because you're not counting on your hand how many people are in bonnets versus how many aren't. And by and large, most people aren't in bonnets. Most people are in some regular jeans or something that's just comfortable and suitable versus the people that's not. And then when you look across culture, especially when you go to white neighborhoods or white areas, they're doing the same thing. But no one says there's a cultural issue with them. This is where that's where I have the issue. I think this idea of respectability politics becomes a problem because we always think we, like Coach D was saying, we have to make the adjustment to people who don't respect us anyway, or people who should already have the respect but they don't. And there's nothing you can do to change that. You could just look dressed more fly and be called the N word while dressed fly, but that doesn't change anything. There's an internal issue with the people that have a problem with black people. Is my viewpoint.
Hmm. Okay. 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 Devin, what you think?
Yeah. Well, like kind of see this as I think I just take white people out of all of it because I think that's just like a situation you use to cope with why you don't want to comply or do something. Which I mean, if you're free and you're just out and about on your own, like life, do whatever you want. I mean, and you accept the perception that somebody believes you hold when you wear certain things. Regardless, you can't inevitably, no matter how much you legislate it to where you can wear whatever you want, you can't legislate somebody's mind and how they feel and perceive you in the world. And I think when you're talking about private entities such as the university, I think they have the ability to say, "Hey, I want to set this standard for my university, and I want to do something to probably push me above something else." Above the other school where they might have the perception of those people, they just, it's a party school. Maybe they want to give the perception of, hey, we're a place of higher learning and we're different from this place because of X, Y, and Z. So then if parents are looking at it that way, like, I'm not sending you to that party school. This school looks like they actually want to focus on their learning, and that's the perception I get from you when you come in, flip flops, dirty bottom feet, like gross. you know I don't find that acceptable. I'm not going to use that same mindset to say, oh, like, I'm not going to use a mindset of, I'm gonna, because of how white people feel this way. No, I want to put the best for my best self forward when it comes to presenting people, and have it one less barrier when I'm going out in the world, regardless of who I'm talking to.
Hmm.
So, just real quick,
Yeah, go ahead.
just to remind us why white people came up is because someone or August stated that this is a black community issue, right? And we keep doing this thing. We keep having these conversations where we make one thing a cultural issue for black people only. But when we talk about any other race, we go, they don't have that same issue, but are displaying the same behavior. That's why it came up. It's not because I care about white people, but it's because we keep making these statements about quote unquote black issues or the black community that can't be verified, that isn't sourced through anything. And when you do a comparative analysis to any other culture, any other race, or whatever you want to call it, they display the same behaviors. So why is it that they don't get the same jacket of this is just a culture issue? I don't care what white people do, but if we're gonna keep saying this is a black thing, and I see everyone else doing it, how can we say it's a black thing? That's my problem. That's why I got
And
brought up.
I think one of the things is when we have these conversations, you got to remember, like, everybody's not a monolith. Just because you put us all in one jacket or one side doesn't mean we all think the same, or we come to the same. We came to the same. Came to the answer, the same way. His math is different than my math. And when we decided, okay, we don't think this is acceptable, and we have rules to it. So I accept and I listen to August, but I don't totally concur with the line of train of thought he had. Mine was pretty simple. I don't care about what other people think. I care about what I think about myself and how people perceive me. And I want to make sure I have whatever advantage I can have moving forward, and it's ingrained in my brain that I need, that far as like how I perceive myself. And ultimately I would say, like, when it came to even growing up in my home, like, I was told to dress a certain way, but it wasn't because, it was, to be closer to some, compared to some white person. It was more of, my dad was ex-Marine, and he was used to the, just everything looking a certain way, and he just ingrained that to me. So it's more of it was more of a, and when it comes to that perspective of it, it's more of a discipline thing, you know.
Yeah.
I do
August didn't
want to
mention
say,
white people, by the way. I just wanted to throw that out there. I didn't bring white people in the conversation. August don't even really care about what white people do. I know that white people, all that dirty feet, all that shit. I don't care about what white people do. We were just talking about black people, so I kept it on us. But go ahead, man. Sorry.
I I just wanted to say, one thing I do want to say is I respect the fact that we're having this conversation in the way that we are, because one of the problems, and I know I might be getting ahead where DJ wanted to go with this with another topic, but one of the issues I've always had with, like, the Black MAGA, like an Officer Tatum and stuff, is that they're having these conversations like with white racists in the room instead of like amongst black people. I feel like people don't give us the respect, or the don't acknowledge the fact that we do recognize, like, when we have any issues, and this has nothing to do with the white community, this has to do with us. Like, we recognize as black people that, like, there are areas that we can do better just as black people, and I think those conversations need to be had. And I respect the fact that we're having it amongst black people, because it's like we're gonna actually go out and do something about it. We're not doing it for, like, the appeasement of people who don't really care about what we think about. So I respect your take on that, August, because, like, these aren't conversations I haven't had with guys I went to college with, and same with the other guys. I'm sorry, Devin, and Cheek. Like, I respect your guys' opinion on that as well. So I just want to make sure, I respect the fact that it's clean and respectful.
Indeed, 100%. There's a uber value in that for sure. Shaw, what's your thoughts, man?
I ain't gonna lie, man. Cheeky kind of took it already, but I'll try my best not to repeat him totally. As Cheeky said, I think respectability in general is a very difficult conversation to have for black people, minorities in general. We always find ourselves trying to better ourselves for, even though we don't like to acknowledge the way kind of Devin said we're not influenced. It's interesting how we decide what things influence us and what things don't influence us, but the rules that America has made for minorities also influence the way we exist in the world too. They're just the truth. But as I was saying, respectability is a difficult conversation to have, because even as an individual, I have my own biases as a black person, so I try to always assess: am I is the criticism or critique sincere, or is it just another example of scapegoating black people? I was listening to the they call it the pound cake speech from Bill Cosby in 2004, and I think if you go back and read the transcript, that's a really good example of how difficult it is to walk the line, where the conversation is fruitful, then it goes to kind of scapegoating, because there were moments in that speech where what he said was important, black people needed to hear, but then you found him also kind of jumping into those stereotypes those overgeneralizations of black people or minorities in general that get us in trouble. So I think when it's a conversation that doesn't have the scapegoat is necessary, but anytime we scapegoat black people for whatever America deems correct, I'm not in favor of that. I think Cheeky kind of hit it on the head with the imagery, because this has been a war of perception since we've been in this country. And even for black people, when they always talk about who we're supposed to be, I say the image, right? Because the perception, because when you get into the weeds of what was going on during that time, you know what I mean, you'll find similar things that are happening now. But the imagery of those people were the black people that everybody said we were supposed to be. And you see how they were treated in America when basically these people look like they were either going or leaving church at all times. That's what they look like. You look at the pictures, they were wearing suits. They had on church dresses. These people were physically harmed in sit-ins and Bloody Sunday. We all know about that. All these different things happen. Church being bombed. So I'm not interested in trying to better myself for America, but I do understand as a people, we have order. I mean, historically, we come from order. So that's not something foreign to us. But it's a struggle. And I oftentimes think we lose to respectability politics. And I think that's why we kind of stay in this continual kind of respectability conversation, because we haven't quite figured out how to be lock and step so we can kind of move forward.
Yeah, I think, Shy, I say this often, we're not serious enough, like they've literally made it cool to be late and then call it color people time. Nothing ever cool about being late, So I do believe in pushing back against those tropes, The one thing is the profiling thing that Coach D mentioned, and that's disheartening, right? It's a shame. It's a travesty, right? That he has to have the police called on him because of how they see him, And how do you refute that? Because the suits didn't do it, to your point. Right? So it's just interesting all the way around, Tiff, what's your thoughts?
Hey, hey, hi guys, how are y'all? I'm probably gonna have a surprising take for you. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with the college asking them to meet certain expectations. They're saying when you come to class dressed. I think you can be relaxed and find, different leisure wear to be comfortable, but they're in a setting learning excellence. These are the people that we want to be future leaders and things. There's a different expectation. It just is. I of all people, do not care for respectability politics. Taking white people out of the mix, we should show up for other Black people the best way that we can. So on campus, me being in public areas and respecting the excellence from Black people, I'm not going to wear a bonnet. I'm not going to wear a do-rag. Sometimes we don't think that we deserve the best for each other. I don't care about the clears. And we know some of these expectations, these people are going to be professionals. That's what you're going to be expected to do. They're trying to set them up for success. It's a business class, you wear a suit. When you come to class, you present yourself in a presentable way. When you're in public areas, you present yourself. When you get in the room, put your bonnet on. I don't think there's anything wrong if they're doing it in the dorms or areas that it's just them. And I don't think asking for requirements or following a dress code is a hard ask for people that have come from like high schools that wear dress codes. There's so many kids that wear uniforms in high school, even public schools, that they're going to have the freedom that they want to express themselves. Because I get that it's college and they want to, have fun and be relaxed and be around their peers. But just in a classroom setting, I don't think that's a hard ask.
Okay. You think it's bonnets first, weave next?
Yeah, as a person that has hair on today in a different color, if I had some type of restriction based on the environment that I needed to be in, then I have to follow that I have to follow the dress code. I have to follow the expectation. Again, this is weave. I can take it off. On the weekends, if I wanted to put it in, I can put it in. Going to certain environments where they want a natural appearance, I don't think sitting, again, we have to be real careful about feeling like everything, especially coming from a Black college. If it was a PWI, I would be like, wait, hold on. This is a bit much. But this is what a upper echelon Black college is asking for.
Why?
And this is the best of the best for
break it
our
down.
kids.
So if Harvard asked, you'd be like, wait a minute.
I would.
How come?
When it's a PWI, it's a like either way it goes, you should be dressed for success.
Yeah.
But I would wonder, I'd be a little taken aback if it was a PWI. These are Black people asking other Black people to present a particular way for that Black college, preparing them for outside worlds. Like one of the things that's on, I think on Thursdays, if you have a business meeting, you have to wear a suit. If you have any kind of meetings that you have to do certain things. And within the world, there are certain environments that dress codes are necessary and the expectation.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this?
Yeah,
I have one too.
Yeah, really quick. I think the biggest thing is it's not even that the dress codes are made because of just I guess the stereotypical, like, what you would say, like most, like if you try to attribute something like type of urban wear or something to Black people, I don't think that's the issue at all. It's the you have to make a rule because people have pushed the line so far. Like people have pushed the line so far that it's like we can't, like, I understand you feel upset that you feel like it might feel this way, but I got to deal with this girl that's wearing a onesie and her ass cheeks are hanging out the bottom of it. That's the issue. And then when you see stuff like that, and then you're having the conversation where it's like, I don't want to feel judged by X, Y, and Z. Like, forget about what they think. That's disturbing. That's not you shouldn't be wearing that in public. And I think that's where we got to be honest about these conversations. People are wearing some egregious stuff out in public, and if they're gonna make a rule, they're gonna have to make a rule for all, and they're just gonna set a standard, and it's the everybody has to suffer because of the sins of a few.
I had something I wanted to add on that too, if I can.
Sure.
I think that what gets lost in translation is the optics of presenting ourselves for white people or white standard. And in reality, the way that we are presenting ourselves is a reflection of the work that we got to do within ourselves. So, like, example I would say is like when my office is disorganized, it's a reflection of how disorganized my mind is. So before I start working, I organize my office. I clean everything up. I put everything in its proper place. I clear my mind. I see that the mind is clear, and then I start. So it's like that. It's just a reflection of the disorganization and the lack of structure that's in our community that we need to get back to, because it's more about us versus the optics of whatever the fuck anybody else think. And that's what my focus is mostly on. I don't really listen to Officer Tatum, and I don't, really care about what white people are doing.
Well, I know this conversation particularly is about Tuskegee, but like we don't have to be disingenuous. We don't have to put our blinders on to not have the full conversation, because I think that's what also keeps us in this continual loop, right? So bonnets are easy, right? But then when we talk about like natural hair, we talk about like locks, long hair, right? When we talk about what's considered the norm, what's considered out of the norm, those are parts of the conversation too. And we see, right, I'm with you, August. It's easy to say bonnets, take those off when you're at the house. But what about people wearing like locks?
I love locks. My daddy wear locks. I love locks. My daddy locks is to the floor.
Right. And so I'm saying there's certain situations where that, like, locks are considered unprofessional.
Well, that's something that I would push back on. I wouldn't say that locks is unprofessional. I'm not Officer Tatum, but I'm saying that we can't be outside in goddamn onesies with our ass showing out and bonnets. That's ridiculous.
For sure. I guess what I was addressing is that to just be the aware. That's what I said, because even for myself, I'm always trying to assess, like, are my biases getting in the way of me understanding like what should be proper? I'm saying for black people. I'm saying we all have to do that. I think what I'm acknowledging is a thinking person. I think we all, that's a very tough line to walk at all times.
Shad, I agree, because I abhor dreadlocks. I can't stand them.
Yeah.
Like they stink to me. Like I just have a stereotype about. Like
Jesus Christ had dreads.
No, he
So
didn't.
shaky.
You better read. You might want to start reading.
I'm just fucking with you.
All right, because that's the Elamites. You better. So don't get me started. So the
And that's not Benjamin.
That's
That's not
E40.
the house of Benjamin.
no,
That's not the house of Benjamin.
no, that's something different. I'll give you the book chapter verse.
All right.
It. Yeah, it's gonna.
That's
blow
what I
your
thought.
mind.
Okay.
So like the damn, I lost my train of thought. He said, "Jesus."
You was talking about the dreads. You was talking about the dreads. They disgusting you. How you hate them. You
You have a
despise them.
stereotype against them.
I abhor. Yeah. Oh. Like I cannot. My movers, they can't like Wicks. Absolutely not. No way. Like Florida, not Florida can kiss my ass. What? Sorry. Shout out to Florida. But I'm just saying, like I could not. It just look. I just can't present that. You know, like I can't find a way to present it to where it makes sense to me visually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's
Yeah.
like a virus. The way it works,
Yeah.
it starts small, and then the virus starts to spread into all different aspects. Right, we're talking about here. Then you ask yourself, like, what about Wicks gives you the ick? You know what I mean? Like, why? Where'd you get that from?
You asking me? Is that rhetorical?
I'm asking you.
They look dirty. Like, yo, you grow up, you got a taper and a Caesar, right? That's how you look clean. Like, you know? Like, it's just something about them.
So what about like a surfer? What about like, you see, because I'm really trying to.
What, like the cowabunga? Like the cowabunga niggas?
Yeah, like where they got to do this shit like this when they talk.
Yeah, they look. I mean, come on, man. Pig.
But no. This is that unprofessional? Would you consider it an unprofessional look?
Yeah, they look dusty. And see, that's the thing, right? When you lead the charge regarding casual nature in a workplace, looking filthy, it started with Yahoo, right? Remember, Yahoo started putting golf courses. They said those people can dress casually, and white people make the most of it, right? Smelling like onions and everything else. So I seen it. I'm just saying it in regards to us, the dreads just stick out to me. You know? So come on, like, you know.
Where you be getting these? Where you
Nah, cause you know how it go, man. Come on, man.
Hey, God damn.
I mean, you like, what's that smell? It's just John. You know?
Wow.
John.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, John get right, man. Go ahead, my bad. Go ahead.
No, you straight. It's just I can understand, right? Because I'm reading into it, and just to clarify, there's only it's only certain places you can't wear it. So university is saying it's a ban on bonnets, do-rags, bedroom slippers, and revealing clothing in classroom and cafeteria, and then during like what it said also during interviews in certain events you wear suit. I'm okay with that, right? Like that doesn't bother me. They it seems as if they're just setting a dress code for certain things that won't bother me, right? But if there's no reason behind it, or if it's not articulated, I'm going to have a problem with it, because that's just how I operate. If you're telling me to dress a certain way or do a certain thing, I'm going to ask why. And if you say just because, I don't know, respectability, then that's not enough. If you're saying, hey, this is the reason why, or there's a purpose behind it, I can always get behind that. I'm never going to be the person that just accepts something just because.
Here's the thing: when you're being educated, there's a level of thought that there's a preconceived thought that you have to have in presenting yourself properly. So, like, say for instance, if I'm going to go out to the store to grab some water real quick, I'm gonna put something on before I go out there. there's a level of engineering the forward thought of presenting yourself correctly and actually doing the work, not being lazy, but actually doing the work of putting something presentable on that speaks and works on your mind to strengthen your mind to know that that's important. So and it permeates throughout other facets of your life, just practicing that. So that's where the argument is. It's either the level of degeneracy where we're gonna say, hey, we're gonna relax our standards, or we keep a standard up. We hold ourselves accountable amongst ourselves. Hey, you shouldn't be wearing that out here.
So that's the thing. Like, that to me doesn't make sense. You don't have to do all of those things to show some level of care, right? Your grades reflect those things. There's plenty of people.
That's not what I said. You didn't hear what I said. You don't understand what I said. I'm
What do you
talking
mean?
about
You
just
said-
this. I'm talking about the work.
You're saying
So
like you having to put something on and go fulfill a task. That in and of itself is showing. Right. Go ahead.
I'm talking about the self work. So the fact that I'm taking the time to think about what it is that I have to put on and then actually doing that work, that engineers a certain idea in my mind on how I present in life. You understand? It's just outside of this. I'm gonna be less lazy about things. I'm gonna be more forward thinking about things. So that's what I'm saying. It's not about whether who sees me. It's about me personally taking the time to say, you know what, I'm gonna before I go anywhere, I'm gonna make sure that I'm presenting correctly. I had that forethought to make sure that I'm presenting correctly. That's what I'm saying. It has nothing about your grades, none of that stuff. It's just for you.
Well, but what I'm saying but that has a tie-in with what you're saying. You're saying this is training my mind to behave or be in a certain way, when that is just not true. There's no studies, there's nothing to show or display those things. Perfect example. We were all three of us were in the military. No matter how much structure it was, waking up, having to make sure you had your hospital corners and all of that, there was still nasty niggas in there. You were forced to take a shower, and there was still nasty people in there. You can't tell me that this level of regiment still allows for a nasty person to be there. And you know that if you were nasty in basic, once you leave basic, when you get that freedom and you get the dorm room checks, people were still failing. And you like, bro, you just nasty. There's nothing we can do to change your nasty ass. You just nasty, dirty, filthy, buddy. And that's just who you are. And then you have people who always pass the inspections like I did, which was, hey, you don't got to worry about liquor being in the top in the ceiling. You ain't got to worry about dust being on the door, because I'm just a clean person. It got nothing to do with anything. And guess how I dress? The same way I dress today. HAMP, every time you see me, I'm on time to the events and I film. And what am I dressed in?
Black.
All black. You either you're there or you're not. And that's my realization. And I've seen it play out very consistently. People are who they are, regardless of attire.
Let's stay on this. Let's stay on this for a second.
How much longer y'all want to stay on this now?
I just need a quick 30 seconds.
Okay, there's such Devin, ain't nothing about what you say quick. Okay, now there's a word I want to present to you all. Belabor. Okay, just keep that in your mind. Okay, all right. Go ahead, Devin.
Don't believe the
All
point.
right. Yeah. No, but just a quick second with the hospital corners and the dress of the military. The issue is you were able to identify those people who were the nasties really quick, and you could tell the people who just couldn't function very well because they couldn't follow simple tasks and directions of just fixing your bed. That was a precursor. So yeah, maybe there are certain people because at the same end of the day, Cheeky, I'm pretty sure you wasn't one of the nasty ones, and you were able to follow. It was some correlation to that. You're not nasty, and you were able to follow. But the people who couldn't do it, and they you had to get behind them about fixing their gear and all this other stuff. There was a trickle down effect. So,
and it's not even many. They few and far between. It's one motherfucker. It's usually like one motherfucker. It's not your whole platoon.
And they get picked on, they get pointed out, and they get changed.
Yep. Drastically.
All right.
Yeah.
Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, man. Hit that like button right now if you can. It helps the channel the most. And we shall see. I think there was a few other things as well, just in the Tuskegee thing about phones too being banned in certain places and etc. So I think they're trying to reset the standard. There's oftentimes that calibration is needed and necessary. I mean, Ballou High School in DC had a 20% graduation rate. You know, there are so many distractions going on for kids, you know, along with just the lack of parents pushing them. There's so many different variables. So people are just trying to figure out how to mitigate things, you know, attendance to class, actually enforcing it. We legit, once I kind of understood the landscape, I never ever went to class the first week because that's when people dropping classes, coming back and forth. So I'm like, what I'm going to go there for so they can take attendance, you know? Until one teacher actually marked me. I had to go to the registrar to get back into class, you know? But that set a precedent with that teacher. So it's just interesting how these things work, man.